Donald Trump's connection to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal has ended up creating unexpected shifts within his MAGA circle. At first, even his most loyal supporters seemed to distance themselves, though only for about 24 hours before many of them came right back. We've seen a similar dynamic with Elon Musk, who briefly split from Trump only for the two to appear friendly again. But one person Trump may have lost for good over this scandal is Marjorie Greene, who is now openly declaring political war on him, not just on this issue, but on a number of others that we'll get into shortly. Before we dive deeper, a quick reminder. Please leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. Now let's get into why Marjorie Greene's break with Trump matters in the context of the Epstein files, and why this exact moment makes her opposition especially significant. We'll start with insight from Representative Ro Khanna right here.
You know, I'm just amazed how many powerful people does Jeffrey Epstein know? I mean, this is like the president of the United States. He's hanging out with Musk, with Bill Gates, with Peter Thiel. The list is endless. And this is why Americans are asking, what is behind this? And the reality is, okay, Elon issued a denial. He said, I wasn't at the island. You know what the best way to know is just release the files. Release all the files. Get all the evidence out there, and we'll have the facts out. But the drip, drip, drip actually is just feeding more concern that elite people are being protected.
No question about that. And in the interim, while they're dragging their feet, you guys are tirelessly pushing for more information. I mean, Steve Bannon is also mentioned in these documents. Your colleague, Ranking Member Robert Garcia, said back in July that he was a target for his 15 hours of Epstein footage, that in terms of a subpoena target. Are you going to ask the committee for a subpoena for him? I mean, is this somebody whose information and all of his footage would be of interest to the committee getting their hands on?
Absolutely. I mean, he talked to Epstein at a time where Epstein already had the plea deal. So he has very relevant information. Epstein's brother wanted the information that Bannon had. But we should have complete transparency, and we should have the release of the files. And, you know, Massey and I have this discharge petition. You mentioned it in your monologue that Alita Grajova will be the 218th vote. That is very rare. She should be sworn in on Tuesday. That's the pro forma session. And I just want your viewers to know there were two Florida openings when Matt Gaetz left Congress and when Michael Waltz left Congress, and the Republicans swore them in on a pro forma session. That means a session where you don't have votes. They would be breaking precedent by not doing that on Tuesday. The only reason that they don't want us to have votes and that they aren't swearing her in is because of this Epstein files. Can you believe that? The government is about to shut down, and they are so concerned about protecting these rich, powerful men and not having a vote on Epstein that they're not willing to swear in someone who won 69 to 29 in her election, and they're not willing to have us take votes this week.
I mean, I can believe it because we've seen what they've done over the last many, many months. But yes, I'm glad you called it out so people understand exactly what's happening here. Between Grajova's swearing in and the potential for a shutdown, there's a lot of time, and I know you're tracking this and you've talked about it, for Republicans to kind of try to pull back those four who have said they'd be for signing the discharge petition. Are you concerned about that? How solid do you think they are?
I was concerned, and I've been texting Massey all weekend, and they have been getting pressure from the Republican leadership, from the White House. But to their credit, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert are standing firm, and they have not taken their name off. And I think in this case, it's really the human aspect. I mean, they met the survivors. They saw them in tears, recounting how they were raped at the age of 14 and then told to go recruit other junior high and high school students to be abused. You can't hear that and not be moved on just a human level. And that is why I'm confident that they're going to stick with it. And as soon as we can get Alita Grajova sworn in, as she is supposed to be done constitutionally and based on tradition, we will get the vote on this petition, and it's going to pass.
At this point, the biggest obstacle standing in the way of a vote on the release of the Epstein files, which would be so damaging for Donald Trump for so many reasons. One, because it might mean the release of the Epstein files, but two, it's going to have Republicans in Congress voting up or down on releasing the Epstein files. You're telling me these swing district Republicans are going to feel comfortable voting against that, and it's going to make Donald Trump lose his mind. He'll attack them, and it'll be so damaging for the midterms. But the biggest obstacle we have right now is whether the Republicans who claim that they would sign on to Thomas Massier's discharge petition will actually keep that promise. And it looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene actually is. And she's also keeping an important promise to fight the administration in a different way that we can check out in this article right here. Marjorie Taylor Greene flips White House the bird amid MAGA civil war. One of MAGA's feistiest congresswomen has yet again knifed her own party over the Donald Trump administration's handling of developments in the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking case. I told them, you didn't get me elected. I do not work for you. I work for my district. Marjorie Taylor Greene told the New York Times in a wide-ranging interview from her Capitol Hill office on Monday. Greene claims to have made the comments after receiving word from a White House aide that backing an ongoing bipartisan congressional push for further disclosure on the Epstein case, as she consistently has since earlier this month, would be received as a very hostile act. The firebrand Georgia Congress representative apparently called the aide right back to tell them she wouldn't stand for it. We aren't supposed to just be whipped on our votes because they're telling us what to do with this scary thread, or saying we'll primary you or that we won't invite you to the White House event. She explained Greene is currently just one of 4 Republicans alongside Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert to have signed a bipartisan discharge petition to force a House vote on whether to demand justice release. The Department of Justice released further documents pertaining to Epstein's crimes. Greene, a long-standing proponent of conspiracy theories about Epstein's crimes and death, has now emerged as an aching thorn in the side of the Trump administration over the issue. She claimed the White House's handling of recent developments in the case has crossed a red line for even staunch MAGA supporters like herself, repeatedly torn into her party colleagues for their perceived interaction on the inaction on the matter, begged with Trump to meet with the trafficker survivors, and even threatened to read out the names of Epstein's alleged accomplices in Congress should she ever get a hold of them. Marjorie Taylor Greene also hit against the Trump administration on a different issue, the genocide in Gaza, saying you can't unsee dead children. She said of her decision earlier this year to become the first member of the Republican Party to describe the conflict as a genocide against the Palestinian people. That's not fake. It's not war propaganda. They're not actors. And journalists getting murdered and blown up. I don't see that happening in any other war. And that's shocking to me. Now, I want to make a very clear distinction here because it matters. Marjorie Taylor Greene herself is not suddenly in the right. She's repeating certain talking points that happen to sound right in this moment. But that doesn't make her a champion for women or for those who have suffered at the hands of abusers. If she truly cared about that, Donald Trump wouldn't still be the leader of her party, and she certainly wouldn't have built her political persona around him. So let's not get it twisted. I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, Marjorie Taylor Greene really made a great point. Republicans never hand Democrats credit when we reach across the aisle. Look at the bipartisan border deal, crafted with input from one of the most conservative senators alongside Democrats. Democrats praised it as a compromise, but did any Republican come out and say, wow, I really respect what the Democrats are doing here? Of course not. So no, I'm not about to give Marjorie Taylor Greene a bouquet of flowers for pretending to care about Epstein's victims. She doesn't. This is politically advantageous to her right now, and she's pushing back against Donald Trump mostly because she's upset she didn't get support for higher office in Georgia. To be clear, Marjorie Taylor Greene still only cares about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, she's clashing with Trump and the White House. And yes, she's even labeling what's happening in Gaza as a genocide. But let's not mistake her motives. Her framing comes from a place of pushing harmful rhetoric, not genuine concern for Palestinian lives. It's completely different from when leaders like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Chris Van Hollen, Senator Bernie Sanders, or Senator Jon Ossoff speak on the issue. So, no, I'm not going to treat Marjorie Taylor Greene as some kind of saint. What I do enjoy, however, is watching the MAGA movement split from within. There's a political civil war brewing, and she's become a thorn in Donald Trump's side. That part, I'll admit, it's entertaining. It's like grabbing popcorn at the movies, maybe mixing in some peanut butter M and Ms. It's fun to watch unfold, but that doesn't mean I'm going to suddenly start praising her. Others in media have fallen into that trap before, and I think it's a mistake. What Greene is doing is politically savvy, sure. But let's remember exactly why and who it really serves. And as Senator Jon Ossoff recently pointed out, that's the bigger picture we can't afford to lose sight of.
Deeper story here about corruption in American politics, which is something the Democratic Party needs to focus on, which is that Trump, in my view, is a symptom of the deeper corruption in our politics. Like, how is it that we have a demagogue who promises to tear it all down, elected twice to the presidency? It's in part because much of the American public has lost faith in our political system.
Totally agree.
And with just cause. Since Citizens United, this political system has been corruption on steroids. And that is a big part of why policy doesn't serve ordinary people. So as Trump poses this sort of radical threat to the rule of law and the Constitution, things that we have to protect, we can't just become mere guardians of the status quo. We have to be about change and reform. And money in politics is like the root of all of this. We have to focus on that. You know, the vast sums of corporate and billionaire money in our political system, with or without Trump, are why ordinary people are so ill-served by elected officials and by Congress. We need to take up that mantle and run with it. And if we don't solve this problem, even once we put Trump back in the box in the midterms and once he's gone, the country will still be in deep trouble.
We can all see what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing right now. She's simply trying to latch onto whatever issue gives her the most political advantage. And at this moment, she's chosen the banner of corruption. Whether it's pointing to the influence of powerful lobbies or corporate interests, the reality is this. People across the country are fed up with leaders who appear more beholden to moneyed interests than to the voters who sent them to Washington. Here's the thing, that frustration with corruption is real, and Democrats cannot allow someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene to monopolize that message. If we want to fight for working people, then we need to be even louder and clearer in standing against corruption, whether it comes from wealthy donors, big corporations, or entrenched special interests. That's the fight people want to see, and I promise you, we'll keep calling it out right here on this show. If you want to support that mission, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Leave a like on this video, and if you've made it this far, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.